Hey guys, I figured I'd do a little video on some of my other artifacts that are not flint. Like hard stones and different other materials that they used. I've been seeing a lot of videos online and on Facebook where people are just pulling rocks up out of the creek and calling them artifacts without any evidence behind it, and it's pretty misleading to a lot of the newcomers to the hobby. Yes, I understand that there's a lot of unknowns in the artifact world, but you kind of have to have a good bit of evidence to back up your theory if you're going to try to call just regular river rocks artifacts or artwork of the ancient man. It's kind of one of my pet peeves, and I know it's a lot of y'all's pet peeves as well. I know I may get some hate, coming to me on this video, but, there's always going to be haters and whatnot out there, so that's alright. Go ahead, put your criticism on here. But anyways, I figured I'd show you what some definitely known stone artifacts look like, just for a good info reference. What we got here is a good selection of, like, grinding stones and some hammer stones here and there. And take this for example. It's obviously got some use wear to it. It's really smooth. But if you look real close, if I can get it to focus for you, you can see little peck and grind marks where they would take another stone and peck at it, and then they'd grind it down smooth. And this is a grinding stone, or I guess you'd call it a pestle or whatever. I may have my terminology wrong on that as far as that goes, but it's got obvious use wear. It's got obvious tooling marks where they shaped it and made use of it. And it's got a nice shape to it. This one right here is a nutting stone. You'll find a lot of these. It's where they, made a little divot in the rock, and they'd use it to crush nuts and acorns and whatnot to make their flour and whatnot for cooking. And you can see it's got an obvious indent on that side and on that side. Obvious tooling marks. Obviously shaped to where it's nice and handheld. Fits in your hand real good. A lot of people, who are posting these videos of rocks coming out, they're just, there's this condition called Pareidolia, and it's a condition where your brain kind of associates different shapes with certain objects. It's kind of like looking at a cloud and seeing an elephant, or something like that. Your mind wants to go to a familiar characteristic, and that's where a lot of people get misconceptions in the artifact world, and start mistaking just regular rocks like this. See, I pulled this one up just because it's a cool looking rock. Yeah, it's got a hole in it there. It's got a cool little, peanut shape. But this right here is just a typical rock. Sure, they could have used, whatever was at their disposal, but there is no evidence of any kind of tooling. That hole is obviously naturally made over the years of just erosion and whatnot. It could have been a wormhole that just got solidified in there over the many thousands or however many years. But it's got a cool shape, and yeah, I'll keep rocks like that from time to time, but I try not to call them artifacts just because they're what you would call geofacts, I guess. Just natural rock formations and concretions that look kind of cool and kind of give a good little accent to your collection or whatever. But anyway, moving on, I got, a bunch of these little nutting stones. This one right here is a pretty nice one. smooth all around it. Nice little indentation in the center. Nice flat shape, uniform. Along these edges where they held it, it's nice and smooth. So you could tell they held it in hand like that. And that's, where the thumb imprint goes, and it's just super smooth right along those edges. But it's also got an indentation on either side. You can see the divot. Obvious tooling marks. Something like this is a good example. You can really see the pecking and grinding on this one. It's just those little pits that you'll see. And like I said, it's where they would take another stone and just beat on it. And then they'd start to, grind it down flat to where they were shaping it out. This one obviously has a little bit of a chunk taken out of it, probably from tumbling down the creek. But it's also kind of got a slight divot on either side of it, where it's just kind of, they might have been starting to make a nutting stone with it or something like that. Who knows? It's hard to say. Then you got, stuff like this. This one right here is most likely a grinding stone. It could have been used as a hammer stone as well, for flint, for chipping flint. It's hard to say, but I'm sure, there's people out there who are a lot more knowledgeable on it than I am. But, if you use your common sense and you do a little bit of studying up on it, you can, determine between an artifact and just a rock. It's not that hard, really. I know it may sound pretty critical, but I've been seeing it all over Facebook, and it's really misleading to a lot of the newcomers who are, trying to get into the hobby and artifact collecting. And I think that it damages the historical accuracy. And, over time, if that misleading information keeps on circulating, it's going to have a large effect on the artifact, knowledge of artifacts in ancient man, because there's going to be a lot of misconceptions, and then you'll have people arguing amongst themselves for however long, trying to convince people that their rock is an artifact or an art form, and it's just going to get confusing over time. This one right here is a pretty cool little piece. It's obviously been in the creek for a long time, got some pretty good creek stain on it, but it's also got a nice little divot in each side. Nice handheld, good symmetrical shape to it. Nice and thin, pretty uniform. Got the peck and grinding marks, and a couple little marks here that were probably, gashed into it while it was, tumbling down the creek or whatever. This one right here is pretty good nutting stone. It's got a big old divot in there, so maybe it used for crushing walnuts, or who knows. It also, another thing that I've heard is this could be like a weight for a bow drill, where they would, put the end of the bow drill in there and just kind of set it down on top, and that would kind of hold the bow drill in place, give it a little bit of weight behind it so it would start cutting in as it drilled. It also has a couple little indentations right there. I don't know if those were actually pecked and grinded out or what, but it kind of has a cool little face shape there, so I thought that was pretty cool. But it's definitely an artifact, undeniably. That's an obvious, it's obviously been worked down that way. Again, it's got the very edges that are just super smooth, like they held it in their hand for a very long time, over and over, and just worn those edges down super smooth. And you can even see the difference in the coloration of the stone around those areas. That's not smooth there, but that's nice and smooth there. And it's nice and smooth there. Nice and smooth there. And on the opposite side, like it was handheld. But You know, just certain things that you want to look for. This right here is an abrading stone, where they were using it to, you know, kind of abrade the edges of their blades when they were making their stone and flint tools. If you abrade the edge of the blade as you're making it, it gives it a better, you know, bite on it as you're coming down with the hammer stone, keeps it from, you know, fracturing too early, gives you a better, what am I trying to say? It gives you a better flake. You know, you're able to throw a lot larger flake and a lot more accurate flake with an abraded edge than you are a really sharp edge. You know, they had their ways of doing things, and any modern napper would know exactly what I'm talking about as far as that goes. My wording may be a little misconstrued, but that's what that was for. I found that out in that cave, actually, just about a month or so ago. Here's another cool little abrader stone. It's got an abrasion on each edge of it. On every single edge. It's very interesting. Really cool little abrading stone. And again, you know, they just used it to abrade those sharp edges down so they can get a better bite on their flaking. And it just made it more controlled. Here's another little abrasion or abrader. Also abraded on that edge, that edge, that edge, and that edge. Obvious use. Pretty cool stuff. And you can see that a lot of the material is real sandstone-y type. I find a lot of that around here. A lot of other stuff is like, you know, really hard stone that you find. Usually you find like grooved axes made of real hard stone. And really the only example of true hard stone that I got is this piece right here, which I believe is to be a piece of a grooved axe. Obviously shaped. It's, you know, almost like a granite type stone. Really hard. A lot less porous of a material than a lot of the other stuff that I got here. Which is mostly sandstone and you know, just a little bit harder stone than sandstone or whatever. You know, just typical river rock that they worked. But that right there would have been a good one. It would have been a dandy. You can see it's got a real good polish to it. And again, if you look real close, you could still see the pecking and grinding marks, even though it's really smooth. You could still see those pecking and grinding pits where they pecked it and shaped it. So those are just the kind of things you want to look for. This right here I showed on one of my other showcase videos. It's my only grooved axe that I've actually found. It's kind of hard to see in the case, but you can kind of see the groove, you know, right there. It's a full groove, but it's also got a little divot on the face of it, where I think either they were making a nutting stone out of it. I did find it wedged between two big rocks, so and it's got that little indentation on the opposite side as well. So it could have been just like smashed between those two rocks, and that's how the indentation got there. Or they were just, you know, getting ready to make a nutting stone out of it. They got their use out of it. It's really porous material, so I don't know what they would have used it for as far as like chopping and stuff. I don't think they would have been very successful in chopping wood with it, just because it's such a porous material and really light and just not real durable of a material. Moving on, this is another type of you know, stone tool. It's actually hematite, and you can see they worked it down really well and really smoothly. I may have shown these on my other showcase video. I'm not sure, but I figured they'd accent this video well. So, but obvious tooling marks. I mean, you can see the scrapes where they would rub it on some, limestone or sandstone to shape it. And they used hematite for a lot of different things, like pigments and different paints and stuff. You get a lot of red ochre and stuff that is made from hematite dust that they'd mix with fat, animal fat, and it would serve as a really good pigment for them, and they used that a lot. This right here is more of an example of like the pigmentation. You can see the real red. Another piece of hematite, but it's that red type hematite, and it would have worked. They'd have used it, scraped it down for. See, right there's an edge where I think they probably did just that. They scraped it down and used it as a pigment. But you can see it's got a really deep red color to it. Really beautiful stuff. You don't find too much of this around here where I'm at. I have found some though, but it's kind of rare in these parts. You get more into Arkansas area and you find them a lot more in abundance. But and then I'll move on to this right here. This right here is a matati, I guess you would call it. It's a big old stone where they, worked out the very center of it. And it's real smooth in there where they would, take and grind up their grains and stuff in it. And it's kind of a bowl shape. And this I got for reference. I didn't actually find these together, but this is the basic, concept. They would grind their grains up in the bowl there. And this is just a typical grinding stone. And I found several of these, bowls. I got a couple of them on display over here with some arrowheads and stuff on them. Nice little bowl there. Another little bowl there, and one right there. I didn't take anything off of them. Figured I didn't want to go through the trouble having to put them all back together. So over here, I wanted to show these. These are just kind of. These are a few pieces that I actually made myself. So not to confuse these with actual artifacts, just a disclosure, these are modern made. I had made them just while I was out on a creek walk or something, just picked up a couple rocks and started doing it the native way by pecking and grinding and just, grinding down the shape. This one was my first one that I made. Not too bad. The second one I made, and then this one right here is about the best one that I made. But I just tried to recreate them the way the Indians would do it. Just grinding it out and shaping it up. Yeah, I figured I'd show those. They were pretty fun to make. But anyway, I hope that kind of gives you an idea. I know you're going to run across some of those videos that I was telling you about where the people are trying to pass off just regular stones as artifacts. And just beware. Do your research. There's a lot of books out there with a lot of good knowledge and a lot of good websites you can go to. And heck, if you come across something that's questionable, take it up to your nearest museum or take it up, to your nearest archaeologist and talk to them about it, because they're going to have a lot of information as well. But anyway, I figured I'd do this video for y'all, and it's kind of a boring day, so had to do something. This is just a bucket, that I've got filled with a bunch of grinding stones and, more nutting stones. This one right here, it's just a little handheld nutting stone. I mean, I've found so many of them. They are very common as far as that goes. But, anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed. Feel free to give me couple comments, and tell me what you think. I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are going to criticize it, criticize me for saying that I got a lack of imagination, I guess you would say, but I like to try to keep it true, keep it historically accurate as much as possible. I won't, try to pass off a rock as an artifact unless I'm truly sure that it's definitely had tooling marks and evidence. And I would recommend y'all do that yourself. When you're out hunting, just kind of take a second look at it, make sure it's got the evidence to back it up. And again, if it's questionable, take it and have someone look at it, because they're going to be able to tell you a whole lot more than I am. I ain't an expert. But as you can see, I got a plethora of non-flint artifacts here. Being not an expert like I am, I was able to determine that they are actually artifacts just by a little bit of research. So, do some book reading, get on the internet, talk to your archaeologist, talk to your museum curator, whatever, whatever it takes to get that information secure in your mind so you can pass it along to the next generation of artifact hunters, because we need to keep that. We need to keep the general knowledge in circulation. A lot of misleading stuff is getting spread around, and that's not good for the artifact community. So, and yes, I know there's a lot of new different artifacts that are coming out daily. But still, you got to have the evidence to back it up. But anyway, thanks for watching, y'all. Have a good one. Look forward to posting some more videos for you of some of my hunts. I've still been going out to this cave pretty often, and I'm pulling out a lot of good stuff, and I thank you for watching those videos and commenting on them. I appreciate it. Again, this is another long video, but I figured it would be a good little information spreader for y'all who are, just kind of new to it and getting out and actually walking the creeks or whatever. So, hope this helps, and y'all have a good one. Take it easy.